Hey everyone, alright, in this video we're going to talk Fantasyland. I got a question, a great question from a subscriber of mine. I'm going to go ahead and read that and we're going to dig right in. So the question is from Sebastian Guzman. And Mr. Guzman is asking, it has been supposed that Disney would expand or at least remodel Fantasyland. If you had the job to create and design the expansion, what would you remove or add? What would you change? New rides, new restaurant, new meet and greet with characters you might not see. What would you do? I'm really curious. Well, Sebastian, thank you so much for the question. I do appreciate it. For the most part, I think Fantasyland over at Disneyland is really well done. Okay, I really love that European village when you walk under the castle with all the dark rides. That's quintessential Disneyland. Okay, you can't change that. You can improve upon those dark rides, and I think they should. I think they should continue what they did with Alice and Peter Pan, where they add, where they like infuse new technology into those dark rides to kind of keep them more relevant. I 100% support that. I think that's great. But aesthetically, that whole area is perfect. I'm not even going to lie to you. That whole area is flawless. So keep that the way it is. The only area that really has issues, in my opinion, in regards to Fantasyland is the Fantasyland Theater. Okay? That theater is horrendous. It's ugly, ugly, ugly with a capital UG. It is so ugly. So, yeah, if it was up to me, I would get rid of that theater. And I know we're losing like a venue for stage shows and what have you, but we have the Hyperion over at California Adventure. We really don't need another one over at Disneyland. I would much rather have that land, which is a pretty sizable space, used for something more substantial. Okay? It's a big piece of property. Right now, there's no theme to it. You walk back there, it's like pretty much all cement. And the theater is vinyl and all these, steel like structures. It doesn't look very good. So I would get rid of the theater and I would add, ideally, me personally, I would add like a Shadowlands area, a whole area based on the villains. Okay, it would be darker, it would be creepy, it would be in a kind of, okay, it wouldn't be too scary for little kids. Obviously, you don't want to go too far with it, but it would be in the same kind of vibe as like Halloween time at Disneyland or California Adventure, where it's spooky, but it's not too intense for kids. So I would make a whole area dedicated to the villains. I would put a big e-ticket in there based on the villains. I think that would be fantastic. It would be a nice little break from all the princess stuff that we constantly get. I think it would. Obviously, the villains are a huge draw. I mean, look how huge Halloween time has become over at the Disneyland Resort. It's a huge thing now, and I would love to see some sort of villain representation. We were supposed to get a villain park. I think it was Florida. I think Florida was supposed to get like a villain park, but it never panned out. So I would like to see like a little subland for all the villains. And have it really creepy, and you go in there and there's like a big e-ticket, maybe like an e-ticket Maleficent ride or something along those lines. That would be so great. So that's like my dream thing. That's like my ideal. Do I think that will happen? No. There's no chance that will ever happen. The rumor really for that whole area, from what I'm hearing, and again, this is just rumor, is that whole area will be Arendelle from Frozen. So that's more likely. That's probably what's going to happen. I mean, look, I'm actually a Frozen defender. I love Frozen. It reminds me of those old, 90s Renaissance fairy tales with the big musical numbers and the princesses. I really do love Frozen. So I'm not mad at that. I mean, they can add Frozen in there. But if you were to ask me my ideal, yeah, it would have been like more of a villain area. I think that would have been way cooler. And it would have really diversified Fantasyland. Because right now, everything is so, like princess-centric. Okay, it would have been kind of cool to see like the darker side of those stories. So yeah, that's where I would have gone. Another big thing that I think would have been really cool and really different for Fantasyland would be to add a Zootopia area in that whole area, in that whole section with the theater. That would be really interesting. And that's also another thing. I think Fantasyland really needs to start diversifying. You know, I really do. I mean, the princesses are great. And I've said this in videos many, many times. I love the Disney fairy tale. The Disney fairy tale is quintessential Disney. It's the heartbeat of the entire company. Okay? I think very highly of these fairy tales. But Fantasyland has so much of that already. You know, and fantasy encompasses so much more than just fairy tales. So yeah, let's branch out a little bit. Let's go into, let's make a Zootopia area or something like that and have something different. You know, one of the most popular rides in Fantasyland is Mr. Toad. It's not even a fairy tale. You know, Dumbo as well, not even a fairy tale. A lot of the most popular rides in Fantasyland have nothing to do with fairy tales. So yeah, I would love to see Zootopia. And I think that actually, you know what, Zootopia would be a really cool segue into Toontown because they're both kind of similar. They're like, it's our universe, but sort of twisted, right? Toontown is our world, but it's, you know, cartoon world. Zootopia is our world, but it's animal world. So yeah, Zootopia would fit back there. But ideally, my top #1 choice would be to have a villain area with a huge e-ticket ride based on like Maleficent or one of the villains. I think that would be so cool. So that is my idea for a Fantasyland expansion. I think there's a lot of potential in Fantasyland. It's one of my favorite areas of the park. There's a huge amount of potential. I think for the most part, the land looks great. I think that one area is where they should really focus on. In terms of Toontown, now I know there's been a lot of rumors that Toontown might get demolished, or you know, for this new Fantasyland expansion. I'm iffy on that. I'm really iffy on that. Like, I love Toontown. I do. I grew up on Toontown. I was so excited as a kid when that opened. But if they can come up with something more immersive and more impressive and more cohesive for Fantasyland, yeah, I would probably support, you know, Toontown getting removed. But I don't know. It would have to be something really special though. Like, to remove Toontown, it would have to be something really incredible. But what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on a Fantasyland expansion? What are your ideas? What are your expectations? What do you think Disney should do when approaching Fantasyland? Comment below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all the support. Thank you so much. Like, subscribe. I do content on Disney all the time. And as always, have a magical day.